Hey everybody, welcome to another Making a Geek. I am Damien DeCarlo, the podcast where we geek out about anything, movies, music, games, creativity, everything in between. My guest today is a singer, songwriter, and producer with such hits as Get You Right and Cry Your Eyes Out. Trevan, welcome to the show.
Brother Damien,
How are you, sir?
honor and pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having
In
me.
the flesh. I mean, look at you, man. Like, I get tired of seeing you on computer screens and my phone. So I get to orientate you in real life. Um, No, but yeah, this is so much fun, man. I'm glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. We literally geek out about anything, and I try to make it a challenge to geek out about new stuff. And we've geeked out before about music, but this is a very special one because I know you through your music, and you kind of like have been around in my social circles, and you've been there, man. And I love that you've been around.
Thank you, man. It means so much. I won't lie, I'm 36. I just turned 36 in April. And I'm grateful for the people who still tell me, like, you're still so young. But I started to worry that I was like a failure when I was like 25, 26, because I was already like, man, it's still like I've been working at this so long and it still hasn't really happened. I've had all these close things. But now I can like appreciate each step of the way of that. And like you're saying, you get to see the people along the way who get to see that and realize the journey is not, we tend to think so linearly, and, media makes us think in terms of like ageism in a lot of way. Like, oh, if you're this age, once you're this, you're done. It's nice to be reminded though, like the journey is just that much more interesting
Yeah.
when you get farther down.
I feel like I had this conversation with somebody. It was a female actually regarding children, and I just kind of I wonder how it is that we live our lives with this constraint with time. Of course, our time here is limited, but I think there's a lot of like expectations. There's a lot. Hey, you're 21, you got to do this. You're 18, get out of the house. You're now 36. Where are you? But like the journey is like, you gotta love the trip. You gotta love the trip to get there. Not, hey, I'm already here. I've rushed my 10 years. And now what? I mean, am I happy? Do I have the right elements for what I want to be,
Dude. Okay, talk about geeking out. I love hearing the stories of people. And there's the guy, I don't know what his name is. I know he's an actor. And he was, I think his start might have been on like, was it Arrested Development or something like that. But he was one of the McDonald's brothers in The Founder.
Oh yeah, okay.
He played let's try that one again. He was the more like the one who knew the system and designed it. I can't remember what his name is. He's, pretty big. He was in, oh God, what's the one too? Like the Jason Sudeikis is in it. It's where Meet the Millers or something like that, where they pretend to be a family.
Right.
And he's in the couple with the wife, and they seem super uptight, but then it turns out they're like,
I'm blanking. I know who you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. They're trying to geek out a little bit, but anyway, he talks about how like in his acting career, he was trying so hard for so many years and nothing was happening. And he's like, I almost just started to try to learn how to be happy within my life,
Yeah.
accepting it may never happen. And then suddenly it did. But the gift was I had kind of learned how to be happy without that. So now it's just an addition. I still enjoy it. I love my work, but I'm not like defined by it. I'm not like needing it where he was. And
Yeah.
I mean, I won't lie. I still sometimes feel like I need it, but it's nice to think about how we can learn as you get older and don't have that success. Like you said, the 10 years you get to me, are you even happy? Can I learn to be happy in the journey on the way? Can I find those little things that I would overlook? Or this idea of like having to sacrifice everything to get to your goal. But then if you do get there and you sacrifice friends or you sacrifice family or all that, like that was always my challenge. I love my family. I'm so close with them. I'm like my mom and even my dad, my cousins, and family gatherings. And I understand at some level you have to let those things go, but I'd like to think if you can hold on to those and still be in the journey, it just takes a little longer. Wouldn't that be better? So you don't like burn those bridges or just decide you don't matter to me because this is more important. I don't know.
No, and you're right on there with it. I think that sacrifices are needed, but you're choosing what sacrifices. And that's a tough one because sacrifices means you're giving up something that you could have, something that you could attain, something that you have before you. But if it's friends and family, I mean, how do you sacrifice that? You can't just ask someone to do that. But sometimes it happens,
Yeah. And I guess if it's an organic part of the process, and there are plenty of those examples, but I suppose I was referencing that guy talking about the age factor of
Right.
Can we learn to be happier, enjoy that whole, there's no journey to happiness. Happiness is the journey. It's still an endless journey to realize that,
Yeah.
but you'd like to hope that maybe maybe as a culture we can find a place, because how many people do get to where they're going and then they either kill themselves or overdose, because they're like, I worked so hard to get to this thing and now either the pressure's too much or I just don't have anything, there's no one to share it with.
Yeah, maybe it's not just getting there, it's more of how you're getting there. You know, who's by your side, who's supporting you, who's there to love you, who's there to, share those moments with you. And then you get to the end goal and then you're there, with them. That's the beautiful thing about it. But it seems like you're blessed, man. I mean, you got like so much going on. You got, I mean, I've seen you perform, not personally, but no, I take that back. I did see you the first time I met you at the Tipsy Goat in Thousand Oaks. It's a
Tipsy Goat, Thousand.
yeah. I feel like that name throws it off for what it is. It's actually quite more of a pub.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But that is crazy to see you do what you do, and I see all the smiling faces when you're performing. And when I've seen some of your content, your videos, these are people of all ages. This isn't just a single type of demographic. I mean, you're kind of like a wholesome vibe. I mean, and I don't just mean the music. I'm talking about you.
That means so much, Damien. And it's such a testament to you and who you are to see that and to speak it the way you just did. And I just wanted to acknowledge and appreciate that, because it's been quite a journey to even accept that part of myself and decide, because if you were to go through my catalog, and I grew up playing in metal bands, I was a drummer, like I've covered, like the spectrum is so wide. And then to suddenly find myself, it really was after this kind of near fatal accident about 5 years ago. And all I could find myself trying to do was find things to just make myself feel safe. I was like in a subtle state of paranoia at all times. I was in a subtle state of like, I just didn't know what to trust. Or so all I could try to do is find like movies and music and things that could anchor me into some place of safety. And so that was like the Legally Blondes and the Freaky Fridays and the Cinderellas, the feel goods, the watching Friends and watching like all these different things and the artists like the John Mayers and the Third Eye Blinds and the Goo Goo Dolls. And there's all this stuff that just, and then as I started to gig again, I thought like, I haven't really tried to make something in this space. What if I did? And I did make it. My first real album with that I did with Michael Blue and his kind of claim. I don't know. Do you know Michael at all? Because he's out in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
He did like Colby Clay's first album.
Yes. I do remember now. Yeah.
Public. He's done some pretty awesome stuff. And so I did that first song with him. But I still was always like, is this like, am I stupid to go this way? Like, because everyone's going like as edgy as you, like authenticity is connoted is like, what's the edgiest, most colorful, loud, obnoxious version of yourself you can be. That's what authenticity is. And I'm finding myself trying to be more like, oh, I'm like leaning into this more wholesome, family friendly. Like that's what I like and I enjoy, and the stuff I watch. Like I'm the guy who puts Scooby-Doo on if I'm just like trying to put something on in the background, or Ted Lasso or whatever. It's just, I appreciate you seeing that and acknowledging the wholesomeness thing. And that is what I want. Cause I guess it's always wanting inclusion. Right. I think like wanting, like, I know what it feels like. I got bullied. I got made fun of. I had dealt with that isolation thing growing up and never really feeling at home. And so I just felt like if I could try to create that in music for anyone, all ages, all levels, and just doing it in the voice and sound that resonates for me and what I grew up with.
What was the first time you remember that you notably were like, I'm pursuing music? Like whether it was just hobby or whatever, like what took you there?
Well, the funny piece is funny, but it's also a little bit awesome. My dad was a musician. I was actually born to one of his songs playing in the delivery room.
No way.
It was a bit of a complicated birth, and they asked my mom, do you want us to play anything? And she said, yeah. And she asked him to play my dad's song, and they just played it on repeat. And so I like literally came into the world to the sound of music. And I know he played acoustic guitar around the house all the time. He probably played when I was still, in my mom's womb. And when I grew up, I was like listening to his cassettes. Like I had the little Walkman with his tape, and I would just listen to it religiously. I was always asking him for the blue tape. That was like his more rock band that he had.
Yeah.
I was like banging on pots and pans. I was beatboxing. Like I just was obsessed. I think music was just the thing and I could visualize and imagine my friends.
You were literally bathed upon birth with musical notes on you. I mean, that's the energy, though. I mean, can we get into energy for a second?
I love that free work. That free work, Dame. I'm loving it. I was bathed in the notes of music.
I mean, at first wash a kid when they're out, but no, you were bathed first in musical notes. And this is so funny because I think that, I mean, there's always been scientific studies of what music does to children. And I mean, to anybody really, but essential to the first 5 years of growing up, what it does. And to do that to you or somehow would not be beyond me. I would think that that's real.
I would have to concur with that. I would definitely think like what a gift that was. And so you take my dad's side, then my mom was the one who just had amazing taste. She would play like Earth, Wind and Fire's greatest hits around the house.
Yeah.
She'd be playing John Mayer, Macy Gray. She made this mixtape, and I still sometimes will forget how many great songs were on there. But like that was her claim to fame even in college. I didn't know this, but she was kind of like a crate digger. She would just go be in record stores and she'd be digging for stuff and find like she was that person who would just spend hours and she'd make mixtapes for her friends and all this stuff. I didn't, so I always call my mom my original A&R woman. Yeah. I was the one like I would show her songs and she'd help me decide which ones could go together and which ones go good in order. But she had this mixtape. It had Wonderwall from Oasis. It had Wood from Alice in Chains. It had No Doubt. It had Train. It had Don't Give Up. You got them. It had Third Up. It just had all these great songs on it, and they were arranged so well. So I think that just creates. So the real motivation to really get into music seriously, though, I guess would have probably been like right at the tail end of elementary school, middle school. That was when I can remember Limp Bizkit was such a huge influence on me. When significant other to this day, I will just say like whenever anyone really,
Yeah.
dude,
Literally just heard this album like yesterday, and I'm like, where is Limp Bizkit gone in my life?
I mean, really, just like them and Linkin Park will always to me be
Yeah.
like when people say who are your favorite bands, just because that I don't know what it was the energy of it, the way it hit me at that age.
Yeah.
I was obsessed. So that was what I think really made me like, oh, like we should start a band. And I was trying to talk to my friends about it, and thank goodness one was like, oh, we've got he had a garage in his family. They had like drum kit, guitar, they had all this stuff, and that's where the journey sort of began. It was a very arduous journey, and it was very what's the word, crude in some respects.
Sure.
But that was, oh my God, it's crazy to think.
You talked about as a little kid beating pants. Was is it fair to say drums was like your first start, or what instrument would you say?
Drums was definitely,
That was the start of it, huh?
I like to say rhythm was my first language, then it was melody, then it was words. But rhythm, even to this day, like I like have OCD to some extent, but I'm like drumming with my teeth all the time. Like or like if I'm brushing my teeth, I'm doing it in a rhythm.
It was a rhythm. Yeah.
Can't help it. But yes, my mom would tell me she would literally like drop me off at my aunt's when she had to go out of town for work. And she'd like pots and pans and stuff. And like, yeah, just let him, he'll just play. I don't remember.
Bring himself to sleep.
Yes, literally. And when I was younger, we couldn't really afford a drum set when I was growing up. So I literally like would take like the trash bin, turn it upside down. That was my kick drum. I'd have like a little pan that was my snare. And I'd find like I just found these things and I would just try to like make beats and come up with stuff. My gosh, man, it's crazy to reminisce all this.
When you think of that stuff and that found some place in your heart, I mean, it's got to be like planting a seed. Obviously, that did something to you. I mean, you had parents already kind of like musically inclined, but besides being bathed in musical notes, it seemed like you kind of let that grow naturally. You didn't force it, and you pursued it, but genuinely grew inside of you as you grew, which is crazy to think about. Because I mean, there's a lot of talent out there that people discover later in life. They're like, hey, I picked up art and holy moly, I can do it. I do good and I'm getting a lot of recognition. But this is something you literally grew with. Like, I mean, not to sound too crazy, but I think it's a giant sequoia in you. It's a giant tree that's grown now. And this is something that has, been integrated and rooted deep in you. There's no getting that out.
And just the profoundness of what you just said, dude, is so awesome. You're awesome.
You're awesome, man. What can I say?
You're a very aware person.
I'm just a geek. I'm an old geek.
I'm just a geek and life is a
Okay. He's going to do my song next, everybody.
I love that you specifically said Sequoia, though, because speaking of new albums, so I do have a new album I've been working on. We don't have to dive all the way into it, but there's a song on there called Our Perfect World, and I ended up writing a rap for it that wasn't originally on it. I was trying to get like a friend to feature. I thought that'd be cool. Couldn't get anyone to do it, so I just wrote it.
Huh.
And it was like a channeled thing that just came through. And one of the lines is like, if it's meant to be, then it'll be. Takes a long time before a seed becomes a tree. So no need to rush, baby, just breathe. It's going to be better than you ever could have dreamed. And so just for you to say the Sequoia thing, because that's been the fear is like, am I going to reach it? Am I going to get to the thing I'm aiming at? Am I going to,
These are all to me like representations of things. I try to think of like the more powerful things in life and on earth, and that a lot of it is music. I mean, I remember for me, like growing up, you already mentioned one or two bands. For me, the 90s was a lot of Goo Goo Dolls, a lot of Third Eye Blind, a lot of I mean, these are the sounds that sound like you, though. This is a major thing that I hear when I listen to your music. I hear influences of Lifehouse. I hear a lot of Third Eye Blind. I hear a lot of Jason Mraz. I think a lot of these different artists that has been a compilation of what you are. And it's like these elements can transform into something different while we see artists transform. We can hear one artist sound totally different in 10 years, but what footprints they left behind, one of them kind of you took an element, and this is something that has become now you, but like in a different form. This is a different type of thing. And this is a lot for me. What I remember as a, you know, teenager growing up, music was everything. Like that was like, I swear this dictated my narrative growing up. Like it was like music first, you tell me what to do. And if it fit my narrative, then I'm like, this is me. So the vibe that I think you got is something that is very, very nostalgic. It's very reminiscent of those times. And I can't help but think that everyone feels this way about your music. I mean, what do you hear about it?
Well, I'm grateful to hear that, dude. That was so beautifully said once again. That like, yes. I mean, it's been very intentional because like I said, because of what happened and everything. Because before that, like, and I look at it now, it's almost like maybe I've done things in reverse as an artist where, some artists, they say like, it's 10 years to make your first album and then you got to go from there. But it's kind of been this weird thing where like I have such a back catalog of songs that I thought like this is going to be like, here's an album. This was going to be the album. And I thought, oh, this was going to be the album.
Yeah.
But they were just like ones I had produced myself. I was never totally happy with the final thing, but people would hear it like, this sounds great, but nothing quite manifested. And then I did the Brand New Start album and now this new one that I'm working on. And it was very intentional to do that kind of like sound and to try to test myself as an artist. Because I was so used to like, I could be the guy who can go, oh, here's a heavy rock electronic and like almost Nine Inch Nails song.
Yeah.
And then go, oh, here's a hip hop song. Oh, and then here's a pop song. And now to really try to be like, okay, but like, what if you had to make a cohesive thing and really try to make it's almost like a different challenge where I think for some people, the challenge is how can you stretch a bit more? My challenge is like, can you like focus? Can you harness this? Can consolidate and be a little more intentional with it? But you definitely, I mean, all those influences that was very much intentional, and it feels good to hear that is translating. And my hope is even seeing that with kids that are like online, like they're all catching on to those things. And obviously the pop punk thing is getting so big right now with young kids. And it's nice to see that because I was talking to a couple one time at Cheesecake Factory. It was like, I go sit at the bar sometimes and I was telling them like, yeah, I'm doing this nostalgic thing, but I know it's probably going to be more so for like folks our age, like the kids aren't, and they're like, no, dude, like our daughter just had her Sweet 16 and all her friends and all they were listening to was like Jimmy Eat World and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like
It's weird, right?
yeah, it's like, it gives me hope. Yay.
Yeah, it's really strange. And that's something that I've noticed as well. This is something I was behind noticing, but I had a job not long ago where I was managing younger generation of kids. I was a manager, so I would always hear these kids telling me what they liked to hear, and they would be telling me these things that I'm like, dude, that's from my era. Like, are you kidding? Like, did your dad or mom like that? No, not really. I just got into it. You just got into Jimmy Eat World or whatever it was. Like, really? So you discovered it the way I did. Like, that's crazy, So there's something to tap into there, like for a new generation. I never even knew that.
And I'm hoping and praying, man. It's the weirdest thing to think. Like, I was dreaming of arenas when I was like a little kid. I just imagining my friends and all that. And so many years, like when I was 18, I thought, and I was in a band, and that was like my attempt at like a Linkin Park Rage Against the Machine and like, project. And I thought, okay, this is not quite okay. Like so many like so closes and so this, and to hear that it is such a thing that there's still hope for that and that there could be a big audience. I guess that's my hope. It's like you got to trust whoever's meant to find it will find it. But of course, I've always wanted to like hope I could reach the biggest audience. The all ages.
The all ages.
And to be like the parents can bring the kids, the little kids can get like it does. I know in some ways, I don't know why there's always been that stigma of like the kids shouldn't like what the parents like and everyone needs to have their own thing. But
it's funny, right? I mean, it's funny when you think about it. I think that I'm going to describe a major corporation and a company. I'm going to tell you this. Basically, I would say to what we were just talking about, what major corporation company that appeals both to children and adults equally? What would you say?
two come to mind.
Okay.
first, for some reason, I was thinking McDonald's. That's a good one. That's right. And then, of course, I'm thinking Disney.
Of course.
And
That's what I was thinking.
love that you
If you become the Disney Channel, you, Trevan, and that's something that you become, I mean, Disney has appealed to all audiences. Adults love it almost just as much as kids do. I mean, there's Disney mom and dads, there's the kids. And with your type of music, I think that's exactly what it taps into. It taps into that wider audience that not only feels safe, comfortable, but also nostalgic, because little kids can't feel nostalgic, but the parents do. And they get to explain to their kids what nostalgia is. And that's what's the interesting concept. Then they get to understand, well, this means something different to mom and dad. This is something that isn't the same as what they listen to, but it sounds like it. It reminds them of it. So they love it the way I do. So you're creating bonds and connections, man.
That's
keeping the world together. You're the glue, man. Just keeping the music's the glue.
Who are you, my dude?
I don't know.
Who are you?
I don't know. I'm just
an amazing man.
just an old geek.
Let us geek together, shall we?
Of course. That's what I mean.
That means to do that. Thank you.
Of course. No, that's what's the obvious. So you have a musician, and in this case, we'll go to the next part here. You cultivated this interest, you get good at it, you're talented, but that people can stop there. They're good with that. They're good with, like, I love playing small gigs, I love playing at home. Then comes the next challenge. How do you do this in front of an audience? And that's kind of a question I want to know how you did it. How do you I have my own way of doing that. I'm not musically inclined. But I see it in you and I'm like, how does that start? Like, how does a performer just go, I'm not only going to get out there, but I'm going to make everyone feel the vibe I'm putting out right now live? How do you do that?
Maybe the greatest gift I had, I thought I was going to be an actor when I was a little kid because I loved doing Robin Williams, Mike Myers, Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, like obsessed. I was that kid that would not stop doing impressions from every movie and I'm the one they're like, hello, Scott, Daddy's back. I would just do that for my family. And my dad would almost like show me off to people. Like, hey, Trev, do the thing. And I would just go into character.
Do Dr. Evil.
Yes. Just do the whole, or do like the, Captain's log started 23.9. Like doing the Ace Ventura. I didn't know Star Trek, but I knew Ace Ventura.
Right.
I guess that just created the performer in me. So I always had that. And maybe I was an only child. I'm an only child.
Same.
Okay, here we go. I think maybe on some level too, like that, that longing to be seen and just wanting to emulate. But I think there is something to this. It's like how our parents' dreams can live through us, especially if they don't really get to be fulfilled. And it's the one thing for my dad. Incredibly good looking dude, like I would, just handsome. And when I was a little kid, he was like working out and stuff and he could rip. He was like a Van Halen, I remember I went to see Black Label Society at like my first Ozfest as a kid, or it was like Ozzy Osbourne, and Zach Wild's doing a solo and everyone's freaking out and nothing against Zach, but I'm just sitting there looking like, dude, my dad could do that. He could like smoke this dude. No, not that he probably could, but maybe he could. I just wasn't that impressed because my dad was that good, but he never really got to like reach what he was working toward. And he, did so many of those things, trying his hardest, and he didn't really have a supportive family or anything like that. So I think his dream and and he had that outgoingness too. If we went to a restaurant, he's the guy who could talk to anyone, just spark conversation. So I think some of that carried into me. And then it really just was kind of that trial by fire, I guess. I was like, lucky I was a drummer first. Yeah. So I was in that band in middle school and we were like the experimental metal band. Like, thank God we have some recordings. I have some of them. And I keep thinking one day the Vault. I want the Vault. I'll release them one day to the super fans or something. But I could just kind of be behind the drums and like do that and just try to show off what I could do there. And then slowly but steadily, I always say I got tired of waiting for other people to write the songs. So then I was slowly learning guitar, just like watching friends, like what did they do? Learn how to play White Stripes, like Seven Nation Army, do, 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 do. And then that band that I was saying, so it was 36 Alterations is what it was called. That was my attempt at like a Linkin Park, Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, like it was just mixing all those influences together. And I was the guitar player, songwriter, and the second singer. My buddy Bernard was the other main writer and frontman. So it helped again. I was like, I guess you could say I like inched my way.
Yeah.
each way. Like I had someone else kind of being the main focus and I could kind of be there and like, okay, all right, now I'm writing the songs. I'm kind of singing, but I'm also like, this guy's more the front man. And then once that dispersed, I really was like, okay, I want to like try to do my best, but I also was getting into the writing and producing side too. So it was this balance. But then I'd say it was like 2015, maybe is when I really started to try. Like I was going to open mics with just an acoustic and
On just you, just on your own.
God, that was scary. Man, I'll tell you what, that was really like, the nerves.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And just feeling like I never felt like my voice was that good. It was really, really hard to like just like keep singing even. And I'd see my friends at those open mics or other guys I knew and they go up and I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like my buddy, this guy, Scott Goldbaum, who's amazing. He's toured with all these people and stuff, but he just got one of those voices. I was just like,
Yeah, like, are you for real?
what am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do?
Well, that's the thing. And I think we, critique ourselves the most. We're our own worst enemy, obviously, when it comes to things like that. But that also can make us better. I mean, I feel like a lot of listening to yourself, a lot of people dread when it comes to either public speaking or music, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's what I sound like." I say to those people when they've talked to me about that, I tell them to keep listening to yourself. Keep listening to yourself, and you will perfect it. Like, you will literally be like, I said a lot of ums today. I'm going to fix that. Or, I didn't like that riff I played. I'm just going to fix that. And I think that the more you edify yourself, the more you start to perfect it in the way that you start seeing your own product. I mean, you start becoming the consumer and you start seeing, this is what I'm delivering. It's not so much I'm having fun. Yeah, I'm having fun, but what am I giving to them? And that's something that is, that's to me a totally different thing to me. For a musician, like that is like, you guys are McDonald's. You have to like carefully formulate this thing.
It's very well said, though, the edifying and listening back. Maybe that's the gift, too, being in studios a lot and having to hear my voice, even when I was like, oh, God, okay, all right, that's what I said. All right, keep trying, sing it. Okay, what if I sing it like this? What if I do it like that? And slowly learning. Yes.
And when it comes to your audience, now that you've gone into this part where you're telling me that I feel comfortable with it, I want to be more front and forward after 2015, is this something that you had to start reading the crowd as you performed? Like literally in moment, like you're like, this song isn't working, I'm going to change it up. Is that how that works?
That's a good question. I think that really wasn't until I got into the kind of cover gig scene, which was a bit of an interesting transition for me, but it was like 2018. It just was a fluke thing. Scott Goldbaum, who I just mentioned, funny enough, and we're not even like super close, but our bands played together. I was opening for his band a lot in the early days, and he just hit me up. Hey man, I gave your name to this guy for cover gigs, and it just was such I was like, oh, I could get paid to just sing and play music. Okay. And that was like a first foray of like, okay, I was still kind of curating like some cover artists, you just play whatever the people want you to play.
Right.
I've always had a hard time with that. I've always been like, can I get to that place where like, you're just going to want what I'm playing? Like you don't tell me what to play. I will if it fits, but I don't want to be like, hey, learn to play. You got to, the amount of people, man, you got to get more country with that or something like that. I'm like, nothing against country. Country is great, but man, I'm not here to be the human jukebox, even though I am in some ways. That I think though, that scene where I got to play and you start to realize, okay, this song does well. Oh, this song's usually always a slam dunk. No matter how the set's going, if I throw this song in, usually it's going to go well. That probably would have been the time. And even then I thought I was closer to like, okay, I'm doing these. I'm going to get, that was still 2018. My God, that's almost like, that's 8 years ago now, give or take.
Yeah.
That was really
Still not over that. Still not overthinking it's 8 years ago. I don't get it.
time. Like he said, like for us when we met, like what that was like when.
Yeah, when I hit you up, I'm like, I can't believe how much time has passed. I'm almost in denial. And I thought that was, to me, almost the feeling of yesterday, even knowing it's not yesterday. It's like, it's a weird, how time froze during COVID. It was weird, And that's basically how I came up with this podcast. It was something that I decided to sort of I wanted to throw out those good vibes to geeks, and I wanted to be more involved in the, because there was no, like, for us geeks, there's a lot of different conventions, right? There's a lot of Comic Cons, there's a lot of these, and I thought, we can't really do this. We can't go out, we can't talk with each other like we used to. So I thought, if I start something, I can start talking to people over Zoom or whatever, and just to kind of like stir that geekiness still there, just happy vibe, something. And, I think more than anything, a lot of people have always either wrote me an email or message and said that, it was so great that you paid tribute to X, Y, and Z and whatever. But I think that honestly, it kind of healed me more than anybody because I needed to feel that, I was doing regular things in an unregular situation. It was quite the experience. But 8 years ago, I just can't.
It's just can't compute. Even to think that COVID was 6 years ago is pretty insane now. That was such a like time stopped kind of moment. And then thinking, how can things ever go back to normal? And not that but in many ways, like they have, but yeah.
Yeah, in many ways it has. I think that we've all, really changed, in a lot of ways. I just wonder, our future going forward. I think that this is something that even for a younger generation that you play for, that this is still healing, like a lot of this music. And there's a lot of music. I mean, music's so powerful. It can penetrate in your heart, in your soul. Obviously, it can stir hate. Then it can stir good. So I feel that if there's enough good, then maybe the world would be a better place, everybody. Just kind of saying. Not that I don't listen to metal.
Oh, dude.
I love metal, but obviously there's some influence out there that I wouldn't care for. Some influence I love, and I want to feel that music moves in a positive direction, whatever that sounds like. It can sound anything.
I love your cognizance of that, man. That was a real kind of challenge again, choosing this direction too, because I love heavy music. I love metal. I love EDM. I mean, there's so many genres that I like, and I felt this thing of like, as an artist too, it's always that question of like, am I supposed to push everybody? So am I supposed to compress all that into one thing? Am I supposed to? And that's why sometimes I'd make stuff and I would have people say like, oh, this is so great. But it's almost like, I don't know how you'd say, like, it's almost like I was like a jazz or classical, not that I am, it was like I was a jazz or classical composer making pop music in a way that, or making songs that simplification was a good idea, I guess is what we could say. And as a fan of music, when I think of the greatest songs, like what is it? Well, they're the catchy, hooky, simple, right? Like it's practically a jingle most of the time, right? And I would always think like, why is it like there were so many disco hits, but Superstition is the song that everyone still knows, or Play That Funky Music. What is that difference? But what you said about the influences of the dark and that was my challenge too. And my mom was really the voice for that for most of the time. Cause I would like, even when I did the Brand New Start album, and then I would still be like having this internal war sometimes like,
Right.
but what about like my heavy, like, I don't know. Am I lying to myself that I'm trying to make like feel good music? Is this like, am I in denial of something? And maybe I should do this. And she would kind of just frame it as like, well, just try to think, what audience are you trying to speak to? And that's who you're going to meet. And yeah, you can go make the head, but if that's who you want to like spend your time with, they're the ones that are going to be gravitating. You can't control who's going to like it, but at least that initial, like the joke of Nirvana, Dave Grohl, right? When he's like,
Yeah.
we made that album and suddenly the guys who used to beat us up for liking this music are coming to the shows. So you can't predict that, but at least if I could start with, like you said, I would like to think and hope that positivity. I always kind of say in a way, I'm not Christian. I don't think of myself in that way, but in some ways I've had people say I'm almost more Christian than most Christians just because that's how I try to live. And from that space, it's like, yeah, what would that be? Like harmony, trying to look for positive ways to handle situations rather than just, my dad was the classic. He was the dude who would literally get into fistfights. So like he was that guy. And I would always think like, I could see the moment where it's like, did we have to go to that?
Right.
And that's that challenge to the complex as a young boy. Is that what a man is? Okay, so that's what you have to be a man. So if I'm not that, I'm not a man. But can we just communicate? Can we is there a more positive way to do this? Can I make music with a positive thing? Is that too cheesy, or will people actually receive this and enjoy it? And hopefully it creates, like you said, creating those connections or relationships.
Yeah. Reinforcement is a very powerful tool. And I think that music can reinforce those values. It just depends on, the person, if they're willing to open up for that. A lot of people don't like it, and that's okay. They like other things. But in this case, I think that you're reaching more of a wider, broader audience. And I think these type of like moments, I think that that's something, as you maybe you already do, but would look back and say that this is the impact I've made, but I have the most reward because I gave it. Like I was able to, give that gift. The old, little cheesy, but the old saying of, giving is more rewarding than receiving. And I think that has paid true the more I've gotten older, and it's living through someone else vicariously through the joy, and I think that I kind of geeked out about movies with somebody recently. It was my cousin, and he was like, oh, I haven't seen these classics. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, I know they're good. I don't know. It's almost like if I watch a certain movie that's so good, I'm gonna feel like I won't get that same high from it like you do the first time. And I thought, you know what? I do get that. I know what you mean. Like, it's not going to feel like the first time that you watch something brand new that's epic or impressive. But I told him, imagine what it would be like if you were to show that to, let's say, if you had a kid and how they would react. How would you react to that, to your most favorite movie? And then you saw their face. And he was like, yeah, I think that I would probably like it better than that first time. I'm like, that's the point. That's the point. So if you give somebody that and see their reaction, that almost gets you a different type of feeling, that something you never experienced, and that joy, like that you get to just dispense. I mean, your talent is just crazy, Trevan. I mean, I don't know how do you look in the mirror?
You actually have a bit of a hard time, man. I'm still trying to learn to love myself in that mirror, man. I have a hard time. I won't lie, but I love what you're saying there too, because you think about it. Why did you make this?
Yeah.
You was like, I think when you look at anything that was made great, you find out like the ones who made it, they're like, well, we kind of made what we wanted to see, like what we thought was missing for you. Like you were missing that social thing. So you made this, which becomes a gift to everyone who's tuning into it. I guess that's kind of for me with this album and these songs. I try to remind myself, like, I'm making these for me. Like these are like, I want to be you know, I don't know, there's a joke like where Kanye West is his own biggest fan and stuff like that. Like, he's like, yo, man, like that. But in a way, we all should be that way. Like we make this for ourselves, and then we hope that people will enjoy and receive it. And like you're saying too, that in that way. So it's,
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
the answer is yes.
Just smiling, not Trevan.
Yes, just smiling and nodding. It's really,
Um,
what the positive impact of sharing with other people and seeing their reactions when you said that. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, like where it starts with you, but then the gift of like it goes farther when you get to see that other person impacted, or you see that person singing the words back. Like I still trip out. I've got these two amazing super fans of mine, Jess and Hannah. They know like almost all the words to most of my songs, and there's certain ones when I play and they'll like throw in the other, yeah, like you're like yes, and then like they're singing all and it still like blows me away. I can't even believe it's actually happening. It's still so surreal. And I know artists talk about seeing a whole arena singing your song, but I don't even know what that's like. That's
Right.
insane.
I mean, that's a different level. That's something that I would still love to ask somebody when it gets to a point where I talk to someone that intimately regarding that. But that's, I would imagine, would be, I can't imagine a bigger performance high. I can't. And I mean, you and I have gotten, and I've talked in front of big audiences, but not to the degree of playing for probably the type of audience you had. It's different, but I can only imagine it gets bigger and more crazy. Like you must feel just so much in that moment after that. Like, how do you come down from it? I mean, how do you, how do I sleep that night? You know?
Yeah. How do you regulate?
How do you regulate? Right. You're chasing that performance. And that's why I think a lot of people still love performing even after they're, supposed to be retired. I mean, you see these old bands still come back. I just saw Rolling Stones, and not long ago. And, it's to see them still doing it. I mean, like you still got it and you still clearly love it.
Yes.
You're not just doing it for the audience. You actually still love it, Mick Jagger. You still love it.
It's still.
So
I love it, Damien.
I know Tabby was here right now.
Yes. Yeah.
But those guys keep plugging along, and that's the thing, and I think that going forward, I mean, now that we're kind of going career retrospective, where do you see yourself going, in 10 more years from now? Like now that we've established 8 years was COVID, so it's going to go like that.
That's a heck of a framework there, man. Well, definitely the goal right now. I've really been enjoying doing more shows with a band. That's been a big like shift where I was doing the solo thing for so long, and I grew up in bands, but now to do that again has been so nice. And that's just elevating for me, that talking about the joy of it. Like it just is bringing more of the fun back to me, like to play with other guys, to have that full sound while you're playing.
Yeah.
And hopefully to scale that up, I want to go open for the Goo Goo Dolls, and I want to open for the Third Eye Blinds, and I want to open for the dream is to open for Taylor Swift. I keep throwing that out there. I've been throwing that out there for years. I've been like, even back in like 2019 at a gig, I'm like, hopefully one day I get to open for Taylor Swift. That would be amazing.
Listen, universe.
Calling it out, right?
Calling it out.
Right here. I'm making a geek. You heard it right here.
There you go. Yeah.
That would be the ultimate goal. And then, I still dream about like having songs placed with other. So Ryan Tedder's, like speaking of the geeking out too, I love studying other writers and producers and artists. And so Ryan Tedder, who founded One Republic, Apologize, Counting Stars, all these huge songs.
Yeah.
Who's also one of the biggest writer producers, Jonas Brothers, Adele, Taylor Swift, anyone you can think of, he's pretty much written with or done. So he did most of Tate McRae's big hits. And he's one of those dudes you watch his interviews, like this guy is an encyclopedia of the music world and knowledge and all that. And I've looked at him as kind of a spirit animal in some regards. And I hope to meet him and work with him one day. But to have that same trajectory of like have my live thing, my artistry, but then also simultaneously like get to work with other artists and groups and get to have songs placed or do things like that. That would be so cool.
Do you have any new projects coming up that you can talk about that you want to talk about?
Yes. I mean, I don't have any media training. I haven't had any like PR or whatever, but so I do have a new album I've been working on. It originally started, it was just, I was gathering up these demos, and then a good friend of mine, Will, was like, sat me down and was just like, man, like, I think there could be an EP here. Tried to cherry pick. There were two main songs that he was the most excited about, and I kind of used those as the guiding lights, and then was picking the ones I liked and thought were good. And then it just slowly turned into like, well, maybe this one too, maybe this. And now it's literally like, okay, I guess I'm turning this into a 10-song album, essentially. I'm back and forth on which song will be the first one. I think the first song that might be the first single that I'm leaning towards is a song called Just Want to Be Myself. An ultimate homage to all the childhood things of like, there's like, it's literally like, tickety talk, when my brain starts ticking like a 90s kid on a 90s mission. I got fruity pebbles while I'm nicking. I like it. Okay. And then there's like some homages to like Freaky Friday and a lot, all those things. And just a very fun kind of upbeat pop, or everything from like Third Eye Blind and like kind of bop. It's like an bop, semi-charmed life. Okay. Meets a little bit of like, maybe like, yeah.
Mixing all that, I guess.
Mixing all those kind of things together with a little Trevan flair thrown in on you go. So I think that might be the first single. And then there's a couple others that are strong contenders as well. It was interesting to hear you share your story before we got on air here. Because there is a song on it too that I don't know. It was one I wasn't sure that it would make the cut. I've sat on it for like a couple years, and it was really my girlfriend who was very adamant about like, I think this, you should maybe include this one in the project. And I showed it to my buddy JC, who's been kind of mixing and doing the stuff with me. And he was like, oh yeah, this should definitely go on. I'm like, okay, like most of the songs are all super wholesome, and this one's not that wholesome.
Okay, a little spice there.
A little bit of spice. I don't know if I'd say it. I guess I'll just say this. The song's called My Best Friend's Girl.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So when you share, I'm like, oh God. And like literally, I'm like, when I wrote it, I originally wrote that song thinking it would be for like an MGK or something like that. Like the sound, very pop punk. It's very like modern pop punk sound. And but anyone I'd play for, I'd play at open mics or played at these shows, and they'd be like, oh my God, the song's great. When's it coming out? And so when Helena, who's my significant other, heard it, she was like, I think you need to put that on the album. And I was like, okay, all right.
Sometimes these people push you out of your little comfort bubble, and you're like, maybe I'll be comfortable a little bit bigger in this bubble.
Yes, they do. And I'm like, as long as I just hope it doesn't interfere with, again, like we said, and then maybe that's the challenge, is like how to embrace the wholesome, but still acknowledge there's still those things. And there's other songs on the album that it's not like it's all, there's still like, there's one called Reaching for the Stars. That's actually my mom's favorite. And that's like a really good, more of a rock song, but it has a good emotional tug to it. And the lyrics are a little more introspective and talks about that challenge of like, like dealing with what that is, but then how we're trying to reach for something beyond that.
Yeah. I love it. I'm blown away, man. I'm glad that you're doing great. You got some awesome upcoming stuff. This is something that I'm really excited to see where it goes. And every time I look at what you're doing, it's growing and growing. And I really wish you to keep going and don't stop for nothing. Nothing. Don't stop till you get enough. Exactly. Go with that. But seriously, thank you, Trevan, so much for being on the show. It's really been awesome, man. And always one that I look forward to when I speak to people with like a little more deeper conversation. Nowadays, it's not so deep. So at least, dude, I like to go a little deep with the convo.
Mutual, man. Mutual. I'm excited to see your show continue to grow, man. You were an amazing interviewer. Amazing, like deep, introspective questions. You're very present.
I try. Geeks forever. Trevan, where can folks find you on the internets? Do you want to plug it in?
Yes, the great thing, all social platforms at Trevan Music, Trevan Music, and then Spotify, Apple, it's just Trevan, Trevan. It's pretty much in all caps, so that's usually how you can distinguish. It's crazy to think there are some others out there with that name. I don't know how that happened. More Trevans are hitting the planet, apparently.
Yeah, you started that trend.
I started the trend, baby. That's right. And I think that's pretty much it. So Trevan Music on all socials and Trevan, and then trevanmusic.com, of course. But I I think Instagram's probably one of the better places to be able to find stuff or staying up to date.
Sounds good. You hit him up. Trevan, thank you so much for everything, sir. It's always a pleasure.
Bless you.
Listeners, you can find us at makingitgeek.com. Always put on all platforms, including YouTube. Like and subscribe. And I'll leave you with a wise old saying someone once told me: keep calm and geek on. Good night, everybody.